Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Doug Murray here. I appreciate you joining me on this. Another video regarding what's going on in the world right now. And the big question that I want to ask you all is, what are you doing to be prepared for the current trials that we're in the thick of right now that are unfolding right in front of us? And also the trials that we see are probably coming, most likely coming, and that have been prophesied are coming. So there's a lot we could talk about here. I want to keep it simple and get right to the point here. The more aware we are, the better we pay attention to our surroundings. That obviously is going to be the first step in being able to handle what's going on. But number two is we've got to be prepared for it as well. There have to be steps that we take. There have to be things that we do in order for us to understand that we're going to be able to get through a trial in some way, shape, or form. I use the example a lot when it comes to, like, even on going on a road trip. Before you go somewhere on a long road trip, you make sure you got enough gas in the gas tank, right? You're going to make sure that the car is functional. You're going to be able to get where you're planning on going. If you've got people in the car, you think about the needs of the people in the car. If you're a parent and you've got small children in the car, for example, you are packing that trip for those kids. You're thinking about those kids as you do it. You know it. And this is something that is absolutely essential and known by everybody. You hopefully plan for unforeseen problems as well. Maybe there's going to be a medical issue of some sort, so you bring a med kit with you. Okay, someone could get cut, scraped, so you bring, it's called a boo-boo kit or cut and scratch kit. Something where you just got Band-Aids and triple antibiotic and so forth. But you plan for it. You're aware of it. Keep your head on a swivel. You watch out for it, especially if you've got a heightened sense because you've got vulnerability with you. You've got vulnerable kids in the car. You're going to take the steps to be prepared for the vulnerable. That's how we're built by God, to watch out for the vulnerable. It doesn't mean we always do it, and we don't always do it well, but that is how we're built by God, to watch out for the vulnerable. So I say that in consideration for what's going on in our world right now. Okay, a couple of highlights here. I'm going to pull up a couple of news things we got going on out here right now that are pretty obvious. This one, just in the news today, at the time I record this, I'm recording this here on, the 25th of October. Chinese fighter pilot harasses United States B-52 plane over South China Sea, says the Pentagon. So China continuing to harass. That's always an interesting thing going on out there. We also got this story out there at the UN. Iran warns U.S. will, quote, not be spared, unquote, if the war in Gaza continues. Another red flag, another sign for us to be aware of and pay attention to. North Korea is sending massive amounts of munitions to Russia and is on track to be one of its biggest weapons suppliers, UK intelligence says. So we've got North Korea, Russia, China, Iran, all involved in the news on the same day, and all of it has to do with some sort of ominous, some sort of threat, some sort of ominous behavior or threat. This is the kind of stuff that's it's all around us everywhere we go. So we've got these situations going on a regular basis. Here's a new one, 13 hours ago, a series of drone strikes at U.S. bases, at least 20 injured. You may have heard about this. At last count I heard a couple days ago, Iraq, 13, I think, strikes. No, 10 drone strikes and U.S. military bases in Iraq, 3 in Syria. So this tension that's building and aircraft carriers, U.S. aircraft carriers being sent over to the area in Israel, this is all continuing to build. Now, consider this. If you have not seen the video footage at all of Hamas going into Israel, going into the kibbutzes and so forth, the little neighborhoods, the communities there, gated communities, some of them, then you need to watch them and see how they operate and what they did. Okay, you're talking about broad daylight, car pulls up, Hamas is waiting outside the gate opens up because, you pull up to your gated community, you hit your tag or whatever you got to do, you punch in your button and your number, and the gate opens up. And then you drive in, gate closes. Well, they were ready, so the gate opens and they come in. They're going through neighborhoods and they're killing people. They're coming up upon cars that are just driving down the road and just opening fire on the people in the cars. So this very brazen and bold attack that's coming from Hamas at this time is really stunning a lot of people. This isn't a third world war lord-run country. This is Israel. Could that happen here in the United States, where I'm coming to you from right now? Could it happen in the UK? My goodness, look at what's going on in the UK, the breakdown up there. The protests in the US and the UK, in parts of Europe and other parts of the world, but especially in those couple of locations where you're seeing so many protests that are filled with anger and hate. So the tension is high, and no one can deny that. As much as I talk about prepping, being prepared, I've got my Brepper shirt on right now. We have a course at brcoalition.com, the Brep course. It's on sale. We had it on sale, 50% off for quite a while. And a couple of days, we took it off sale, and we thought, we got to put it back on. So it's at 25% off right now. Go to brcoalition.com if you're interested. But I'm also offering next week, at the time I record this on October 25th, next Monday and Tuesday. If you see this video later, just continue to check back. We've got webinars that are we're going to be coming up more and more. We're scheduling them out many, many weeks now. And we'll be making announcements on those coming up very soon. This is a free webinar. brcoalition.com. Click the link in the description below to go sign up. You want to order the course, that's there in the link in the description below, the BR Coalition, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course at brcoalition.com, or go out there and sign up for the free webinar. The free webinar is going to break down something very simple and something very helpful when it comes to any kind of a crisis, and that is building out and packing an emergency bag. I'm going to go through the details of it in the free webinar. Free webinar. You're going to get a free download with it as well, PDF download, so you can take it with you. And you can start clicking the links, ordering the items, or start building it out as you want and getting better prepared. What does an emergency bag do, say, for example, in a case like what happened in Israel? Well, it depends on what you store in your bag and what you have on your person. All right, maybe you're someone who's a concealed carry, you got a firearm, you got a truck gun, a get-home gun, things like this that are used for defensive measures. And all of a sudden you're driving down the road and someone comes up on you. Now, this could be drug cartel people. This could be MS-13 gang members. This could be Hamas. It could be anybody, but someone comes up on you and they're pointing guns at you or they're opening fire on you. And a lot of people just have no idea what they do. They haven't even considered it. They haven't processed it. And they don't have anything to use in defense. And there are those out there who will simply say, well, you know what? I'm ready to die. That is your own call. I'm never going to judge anybody on that. But if you've got a car full of kids and someone comes up on you and opens fire, or someone starts to threaten you and harass you, what are you thinking about your kids now? So we're not thinking that way clear enough. We're not thinking about the people that God has entrusted to our care nearly enough. Now, if I can send a message to all the men out there that watch this video, all you men out there, the responsibility that we have as men to protect and defend those that God entrusted to our care. You ladies, that responsibility is there too. Yes. But in one sense, think about this. Men are built for this in a unique way. We have that something in us. You ladies got the mama bear. I'm never going to deny that. But a couple of tough guys come in the front door. Who do you think is going to be the first line of defense against those tough guys, the man or the woman? Who's going to be the most threat to the tough guys? A friend of mine who's a priest, he was a lawyer back in the time, the mid-90s, during the Bosnian War. And after the Bosnian War was over, he was involved in the war tribunal, the tribunals that dealt with the war criminals, such as Milosevic. And he told me, he says, Doug, I was over in Bosnia at a time, and I was waiting, waist deep in mass graves of men and boys. He says, you wonder why? Because in cases like this, they come in, they get the men out of the way. You get the men out of the way because the men are the ones that put up the fight. They're the ones that fight the toughest, the hardest, the longest, normally. Again, it's not a blanket statement because some of you women have that fight in you. Don't misunderstand me here. But what I'm saying here is the majority of it falls to the man to be the protector and the defender. Men, what are we doing to be better prepared to protect and defend, especially after we see things like what happened in Israel? 20 of these kibbutzes, these little neighborhoods, these communities were targeted. And some of them were they were small populations of a few hundred, 500, 600, give or take. You're talking about communities that were targeted and then they were horribly abused. Now, I'm not talking, I'm getting political here at all. I'm talking about what initiated this whole thing that's going on right now. And the fact that there are men out there and women, but there are men out there who will do the most unspeakable evil things to other people. The drug cartels point that out all the time in Mexico and other parts of the world. So our responsibility to be better prepared is paramount. There are far too many people who are waiting to just, pick up the phone, call 911, and someone's going to come and save us. I was giving a talk on this down in Florida many years ago on being protectors and defenders and the need for us. It was a men's group, about 30, 40 men. And I'm talking about the importance of men being prepared, having a plan And you know what, guys? Getting in shape, getting stronger physically. You don't got to be Bruce Lee. You don't got to be a world-class athlete. You don't got to be a bodybuilder or a professional powerlifter. That's not what I'm talking about. But getting healthier, getting stronger, and having a plan on how to protect and defend, whether it's using firearms responsibly and appropriately according to the laws in your state. All right. That's got to be known and understood, and be well trained, be well grounded morally and so forth. But understand what you're doing when it comes to learning how to protect and defend. Even if it's having something on hand like pepper spray or mace, having it nearby at all times, making sure that you're paying attention to a defensive perimeter around your home. We need to be thinking this way more than ever before. This is not fear tactic. So I'm in Florida giving a talk on this to a group of men, and there's this guy sitting over in the corner, and he's kind of grumpy looking. This guy's head down, looking a little grumpy. I can relate to that, I know, because I get told that I look that way too sometimes. Resting angry face, I've been told I have. All of a sudden, he puts his head up and he looks at me and he puts his hand up towards the end of my talk and he says, "Can I say something?" I said, "Yes, sir, of course. What would you like to say?" He said, "I'm a retired Long Island detective. And I will tell you that everything you're saying about being that first line of defense, that protector, that defender, you are absolutely right. Because when you call police, 95% of the time," this is what he said, 95% of the time, we're going to come there for two reasons. One, we're going to clean up the mess. And number two, we're going to take the report. Don't ever expect us, it might happen, but it's rare. Don't ever expect us to show up while things are still happening. And I've talked about that so many times around the country, and I was giving a talk on that in another state, and a man sitting in the crowd said to me, "I am a retired Salt Lake City, Utah police officer, 20 or 25 years in the force." He said, "I would say that gentleman was being generous." He said, "I would say it's closer to 100% of the time." He said, "Almost never will we get there on time. Everything's going to hit the fan before we get there. You have to be ready to deal with the chaos that's coming down that pike." Now, what does that mean for you? You have to make that decision. But again, I would say it, especially to every man out there, if there is not enough motivation out there right now, I don't know what we need to get in better shape, to get healthier, to get stronger, and to get better prepared. And yeah, that means some idea on how to protect and defend. That means even something like packing an emergency bag. Why that? Again, that's the webinar I'm offering next week. Check out brcoalition.com. Links in the description below to go sign up. It's a free webinar. Now, if you want to go out and get the Battle Ready Emergency Preparedness course that we have, that's on sale right now. Also at brcoalition.com. Go check that out if you want. But I really want to encourage you, go check out that webinar. Sign up for that webinar. And if you don't, and again, you're going to watch this video after the webinars take place, continue to go to brcoalition.com, and you will find other webinars I'm going to be offering. The plan is to do on average one a week or one every other week that focuses on some training point. And this is free information out there. We're going to offer free PDF downloads oftentimes for these things because we want people to be helped. We want you to have a better idea how to be better prepared. Now, the BR Coalition, the BR Emergency Preparedness course, BREP, we call it for short, is much more extensive, much more in detail. And that comes with, being able to get on a regular live once a month. So you can check that out. Again, that's on sale right now, 25% off. But I want to say this about the free webinar next week and what I'm going to be focusing on: building an emergency bag. And it's something as simple as this. It's having a simple backpack like this on hand. You keep it in your vehicle. Keep it with you whenever you're out. In that bag, you have a variety of things that will help you in an emergency, such as a water filter. I have a mini Sawyer mini water filter in there so I can filter out water so I can have fresh drinking water. Maybe I've got protein bars, beef jerky, a tourniquet, a small med kit, a trauma pad, like an Israeli bandage. Basically, it's a high pressure bandage, different versions that are out there. Having these items on hand. Do you have jumper cables in your car? Do you have the little battery jumpstart battery that they offer now that you don't even have to have jumper cables? Do you have a spare tire? Do you know how to change a tire? Do you know how to jumpstart the car? All these things can, in some ways, allow you to survive a crisis in a tough situation. Now, if someone's coming at you with a firearm and they're shooting at you, do you carry a firearm with you in the vehicle? Are you ready to return fire? Are you trained and skilled when it comes to even going to a shooting range on a regular basis? And I don't mean just being a hunter. I'm talking about learning from experts and professionals who know how to shoot, how to deal with tactical survival scenarios. And there are courses that are offered out there to do that. We live in a world right now that is very dangerous. You simply cannot have the mindset that, well, we're just going to restrict guns and that's going to solve the problem. It is not going to solve the problem ever. You can restrict illegal drugs, and what happens? They're still here. You can restrict all kinds of things that are evil and bad, like child pornography, human trafficking. We can go down the line on this. They tried to restrict alcohol, prohibition. What happened then? You had all kinds of moonshine and all kinds of back alley events going on. We cannot restrict certain things and expect that to solve the problem. In a case like this with defensive measures, what is needed are good people. And I'm not even addressing what happened in Maine with the shooter in Maine, that he walks into 2 different locations and opens fire. And I forget how many, 8 die in one, I think, 7 die in the other, something to that effect, or 9. Why do these things continue to happen? Look, there's evil in the world and people are going to cooperate with evil. What our job is to take the steps necessary to the best we can to be prepared so that we can try to be the good guy, the good man, the good woman, man and woman out there who's well-trained, well-grounded, spiritually grounded, morally grounded, has a good understanding of these things and knows how to respond. One example is the shopping mall where this took place several months ago. In a food court, a guy comes out, opens fire with a rifle. I think 3 people died, if I'm not mistaken, but this was a very congested area. A lot of people were there. There was one man who was well-trained. I think he's in his mid-20s. He's got a pistol, and he is at least, I think it was 40 yards away from the bad guy. He fired, I think, 10 shots and hit him, I believe, 8 of the 10 times. At 40 yards, if you've ever fired a pistol, especially under duress, at someone who can fire back at you, and there's crowds of people around, he's waving people to get behind him and get him out as he's shooting. This is a well-trained man who knows how many lives could have saved. What I'm saying is right now, we have to ask ourselves some more serious questions, maybe than ever before, in our modern times at least. Are you taking the steps to be better prepared for a crisis? The webinar that I'm offering next week, again, free webinar, is to help you at least have an emergency bag that will have some food, some water, some medical, and a variety of other things that I'm going to cover in the webinar. Go out to brcoalition.com. You can sign up for the webinar there. It's in the link in the description below. Also, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course is on sale, also at brcoalition.com, link in the description below. $100 off on that course right now. We decided to keep it on sale because honestly, look at what's going on. We want to help people be better prepared. So some of you are going to watch this video after the webinar is over. And as I've said, continue to go to brcoalition.com or watch for current videos. I'm going to be doing them more regularly now, as I said last week, because we want to get this information out and help people take the steps. Look, right now, at the end of this video, you're going to watch this video. I'm going to ask you to do at least one thing to be better prepared. Maybe go online and look up and order yourself a good tactical flashlight. I don't go anywhere without a good flashlight on me. Okay, in crisis situations, to be able to light things up is important. All right, having something on you like a good tool of a good knife. It's got a glass breaker on it. It's got a belt cutter on there as well. Maybe you go out there and you order or go to the store and get yourself some good pepper spray or mace and have that in your glove compartment. Have it in a couple different places in your house. Ladies, make sure you keep it in your purse. And by the way, when you're walking through a parking lot or going jogging or somewhere where there could be any type of threat, don't have it in your purse, have it in your hand. This is a little bit larger bottle right here, but they make smaller ones a little more palm, concealable. But this will work. Okay, this is pepper gel. You can get some that have the UV light on it so that, well, it has a marker in it so that under a UV light, it marks the person. So even if they wash it off and the police arrest them, and they can run the UV light over them, they can see that they've been hit with this stuff. These are available now. So I'm going to encourage you to do at least one thing, one of those things, a flashlight, have a good knife on you, a good tool, if not defensive measures, pepper spray. But start planning to build out an emergency bag if you don't already have one, and come to our free webinar next week. And let's get going on this stuff. Let's have a better plan. Let's pay attention to the signs of the times, and let's respond to the signs of the times by being better prepared, body, mind, and soul. Last thing, for those of you out there who struggle with the self-defense idea when it comes to Christianity, and there are those out there who do, there are good Catholics and Christians of other denominations who just don't think it's ever right to apply any kind of force that could be lethal, especially to an assailant or a bad guy out there, bad man or woman who's attacking. because it just wouldn't be right. God wouldn't want us to do that. That's not a teaching of the church. It's not a teaching of the Catholic faith. And there's nothing in there. In fact, the commandment, thou shalt not kill, isn't thou shalt not kill in Greek. It's actually thou shalt not murder an innocent life, right? Killing someone in a justified situation where you apply lethal force because you have to stop a threat because the threat is so grave is morally justified, even in Scripture. But in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, for the Catholics out there watching, understand this. It is in there. It's paragraph 2263, 64, and 65. Not only do you have a right to protect and defend yourself, in paragraph 2265, it states, if you are the head of a community, like a family, like a husband, father, mother, wife, you have a quote unquote grave duty to protect and defend, even if it means applying lethal force. Yes, it states that in the Catechism, even if it results in the taking of someone else's life. Okay, and there's details to that, but understand that we're not some great saint simply because we're just going to lay down and let people walk all over us and kick us around, especially if we're in a position to care for other people. We have a duty, a responsibility to be better prepared for that. But if we're not taking it seriously and we're just getting soft and lazy and weak, we won't be able to fight. There's a great quote out there from an old John Wayne movie where he plays Genghis Khan. And the quote goes like this: if you become too comfortable, you will get soft. If you get soft, you will become weak. If you become weak, you won't be able to fight. If you can't fight, you can die. And that can be taken spiritually as well as naturally. But with everything we're seeing in our world right now, we pray to God that he please steps in and he brings peace and brings order, and that mankind will respond to his grace. But in the situations where man doesn't and innocent lives are being threatened, we do have a responsibility to step up. And sometimes just showing that strength, as Ronald Reagan would say, peace through strength, showing that strength can say a lot to a bad guy and deter a lot of evil from taking place. Whether it's someone kicking in your home, mugging you in a parking lot, standing, presenting yourself, looking like you have purpose, you have confidence, and you have some idea what you're doing, that can be enough oftentimes to turn a bad guy another direction. But we have to take that responsibility. So I encourage you, number one, do something, as I said, when this video is over, do something. Make sure you got that flashlight on you, that pepper spray, that good tool of a good knife, those types of things. And there are many other things I could mention. I'll just say those for right now as a starting point. It could be something like make sure it's motion sensor lights outside your house. Make sure you got extra security on your doors so that they're always taken care of at night. You got them nice, locked down pretty good. Maybe add a little extra security to each door. You can get those bars that lock up underneath the doorknob and you kind of kick them into place a little bit. And they create an angle so when someone tries to push in the door, it slows them down tremendously. It might deter some. It might even stop some. But at the very least, it slows them down, makes noise, and buys you time inside the house to do something to react and respond to what appears to be a threat coming in your house. That's another thing you could do. Simply get those bars. They got $15 at a Walmart type of thing. Okay. Remember, the free webinar, Monday and Tuesday, next week at the time I record this, October 25th. Go to brcoalition.com. You can sign up for that webinar. And again, if you miss it because you watch this video later, continue to go to brcoalition.com and look for other webinars that will be coming up where we'll be covering other topics, instructing certain things to try to help people step by step get better prepared, body, mind, and soul. And also, if you're interested to go out to the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course that is on sale right now, again, in the link in the description below, brcoalition.com. You can find it through there. I think it's brcoalition.com/course. Go check that out. It's on sale, $100 off the course right now, and it's going to cover food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. 5 key things that you and I need every single day. All right, I'm going to wrap it up from there. God bless you all. God bless and strengthen you with everything going on in the world right now. Let's make sure we don't take this lightly. Let's don't be sleeping on the job. Let's make sure that we are keeping our head on a swivel, paying attention to what's going on around us. And let's take the steps that are necessary to be better prepared, body, mind, and soul. All right, brcoalition.com. Hope to see you out there. Take care.